So what percentage of abortions are rape? That are attributed to rape?
Do you not think rape exists?
I do. What percentage of abortions are attributed to rape?
I don't know, but any of them is too many. Any pregnancy due to
What
rape is
percentage
too
of
many.
abortions are attributable to rape?
I don't know the answer to that.
What is the number one reason given for abortion in America?
Do you know that 1 in 4
Answer the question.
the number one reason given for abortion is they are not ready to have a child, and they can't do it.
So you're okay. I just want to make sure the moral position. Not a child unless it's born, even though it can feel, even though it can breathe, even though it has a heartbeat.
Can't feel and can't breathe.
No, we already went through this. All right. You're entitled to your own opinion, not to your own facts.
Correct. You too.
You are taking the anti-science position.
No.
That as early as 12 weeks, and certainly by 20 weeks, an unborn child can feel pain. And by 10 weeks after conception, the child can make bodily movements. Electrical brain activity could be detected to 6 or 7 weeks.
I've never denied they are not growing into becoming.
But what percent?
Most of that's true, but the pain thing's still not. Pain is literally a loaded term. Like the term pain in itself could be defined a different way depending on a different side. Like pain is, there is I think a pain scale, but you can't apply like the test for a pain scale to an unborn baby. That's what I'm saying. Like there's no way to actually test that. That part is completely just conjecture. And I want to know where the study came from. So I honestly feel like it was some fucking really extrapolated bogus study done from some like conglomerate to make abortion look worse than it really is, even if what he's saying is true. It's who cares, you know?
Abortions
either way
are attributable when people say I got it because I was raped.
I bet it's a pretty low percentage.
Yes, less than 1%.
Yes, but that's 1 out of 100.
So most are abortions out of convenience.
But convenience is a word you use to frame it as somebody being irresponsible. Not being ready to bring a child into this world is not convenience. It's smart family planning that you are against. You're against planning parenthood. You're for forced parenthood. You're not for.
Let me ask you a question.
You're not for life. You're for forced birth.
The rape question aside.
Well, why the rape question aside?
Because it's such a small percentage.
No, but you keep taking these slices that you don't want to deal with and throwing them away.
Let's use some images. Let me ask you some
So when a child is born or when a child is going to be born and risk the life of the mother, you say that's so rare it doesn't count. When someone is raped, that's so rare it doesn't count. 1 in 100 times though happens.
Well,
so
it certainly
why
counts.
do you not push for legislation that has exceptions for rape and incest? Why?
Well, because it's just equal human life, and I'll prove it to you.
It's equal.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
One of these babies was conceived in rape. One of these babies was conceived in a consensual relationship. Which one's which?
You know why obviously I don't know the answer to that?
Because they're both human beings.
No, because I wasn't involved in the traumatic life experience of the mother that one of them resulted in rape and one didn't.
So one of these
babies, every time you speak about abortion, you always skip over the mother who
it's disgusting.
Gives life to that baby and raises and gestates that baby.
It's disgusting. No, even if it's what he's saying, even if you take him for what he's saying at face value, completely true. Oh, these are both living babies, they're both life. Who gives a fuck if they're both living babies and both quote unquote life and all that? The mother and one of them was raped. It don't matter how much of a life it is. It's a life that was literally created out of sin. I mean, isn't he like a religious guy? Wouldn't that be literally the opposite, like the anti-life? It's like literally anti-life. Like forced to be having a child that was created out of one of the biggest sins probably ever. Like, wow. Amazing. God damn, Charlie Kirk's a fucking disgusting person. He just gets worse and fucking worse, dude. I'm telling you.
No.
Was formed in a consensual relationship or not?
Let me make sure I understand the question here. Let me make sure I understand the question. Your question is, which one of these babies was born in a consensual relationship and which one was born over the incredibly traumatic, mind-numbing, horrible, horrific experience of having to carry to term the child of your rapist, of your daughter watching at home's rapist that he wants to force. Anybody have a pro-birth, forced birth opinion will make you carry to term and be the mother of a rapist baby.
You can't tell the difference.
Be cast out of your social circles.
Because they're both human beings that deserve to be able to live.
Oh my God! Who? Oh, what?
So let's talk about the care.
Why do you not care about the mother?
I do care about the mother. I care about the mother so much.
0%.
0%, exactly. Fuck that.
So let's talk about adoption. How many families do you think?
My card's pretty good.
How many families do you think are waiting for children right now to adopt in America?
Charlie, you're aware that there are far more...
Ballpark.
There are far more babies in foster homes and, in the foster program and in orphanages.
Just take a guess.
There's not enough.
Guess.
There's not enough.
Guess.
Guess what?
How many families are waiting to adopt right now in America on waiting lists?
Fucking who cares?
I don't know the answer.
Just guess a little bit.
1 million.
2 million.
Okay.
All right.
How many abortions are there every single year?
Okay, great.
The point is what?
Great. Oh, you be forced to have your rape child and give it up to adoption so someone else can raise your fucking Satan spawn formed from the biggest, deepest sin ever. I'm not a religious person at all, but that is disgusting. That's literally how serial killers are fucking born. Like, legit how some of the worst people in society are created. Out of disdain, hatred, violence, and then are sent to some home with people they don't even know. Like, that, oh my God, dude. Like, disgusting. Like, what the fuck? Oh, so because there's 2 million people waiting to adopt children, every person who got raped should be forced to have their baby so those families can just get that child to adopt. Wow. Wow. Fuck it. That's literally what he's saying, folks.
Yes.
Your point is what? Your point is what? Let's say it's exactly 2 million. I bet
1 million.
Gotcha.
So there's twice as many families waiting to adopt, and we terminate children
And
every
you're
single
aware
year.
there are also children who are in the adoptive care system that cannot
So
get
why
adopted,
do
right? Are you aware of that fact?
why do you think they're in the adoptive care system and the foster care system?
Because they can't be
right.
Because of
Like you.
It's a mixture of abortion laws, and it's a mixture of fucking lack of funding and lack of resources to raise said
We
child.
have enough families waiting to adopt, and every child will be taken care
And
of.
yet again,
we have solved the abortion
No, we
issue,
haven't,
everybody,
because-
and Ben agrees.
No, because yet
enough
again-
families to adopt,
No.
all the abortions would
Because
go
look-
away, and everyone gets a
because
loving
look how well
parent,
you-
and Ben would have to go
look-
back to obsessing about sperm.
Look how well you again skipped right over.
It's like the
mother.
Donkey
You
Kong.
refuse to talk about the mother or the experience of giving birth because you don't know what it's
Wait,
like.
hold
Nor
on.
do I.
Let's take.
You
Let's
skipped
take.
right over it.
let's
So
take
your
rape
argument
aside.
is let's make everyone who's raped force them to have a baby, go through that trauma, and then the trauma of giving up the baby for adoption, just so people can have a baby that don't currently have one. How about also not traumatizing women and respecting the autonomy of women? Why is it that you are in favor of limited government in every way, as small of government as possible, except in the uterus of women?
So if it's
You're,
not your
you're,
DNA,
you're against
why is it your
government
choice?
overreach, but not government
If
inner
it's not your
You
DNA
like government reaching in a uterus and deciding for a woman what it does.
Hilariously, that's you, because you want to put the abortionist in the uterus.
No,
by
I want
a
to
force.
I want to respect women's choices to make the decision best for
Actually,
them and their lives.
What I want is to make it illegal for abortionists and the abortion industry to continue to massacre and create a genocide and Holocaust.
Killing all the
of our
dolphins.
fellow
The
countrymen.
dolphin holocaust must end. You're right. You have to stop. That's Charlie Kirk's point, everybody. He's
Ben
obsessed with
equates
uteruses and he
dolphins
wants to kill as
with
many
human
dolphins as possible.
So Ben, let me ask you a question.
Crazily obsessed with women's bodies, telling them what they can and can't do, making them give birth, even if they're raped.
So, Ben, let me
or
ask
it
you a
might kill
question.
them, and he wants to make sure that
Let me
dolphins
ask you a question.
you stop the dolphin genocide.
Let me
Great
ask you a
point.
question. Is abortion ever wrong?
Is abortion ever wrong? You need to be more specific. I don't know what that means.
Is abortion ever wrong?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Is it ever wrong to conduct an abortion or facilitate an abortion?
Wrong's a
I
latent
think,
term.
in my, again, personal opinion, if it is towards the end of a term and a child is viable, a potential child is viable on its own outside of the womb, and it's not for some serious abnormality that would make the child very likely to not survive long in life or to risk the life of the mother, I think that would be a pretty wrong thing to do. That's my opinion.
Why shouldn't the laws reflect that then?
I'm okay personally with the laws reflecting that.
You what?
I'm okay personally
Okay,
with the
so
laws
preventing
reflecting that.
late-term abortion.
I'm okay personally, but again, I'm not a woman, so I'm speaking kind of out of turn here.
Just
but
like he
I
is, yeah.
personally don't love the idea of a late-term abortion. But you're against
news.
abortion in any way.
That's correct. Yeah, but I'm just. It's actually news. I didn't realize that was your position.
That's
because,
my personal
but then,
opinion.
like, at what week would you draw that? Because then,
Like
all
I said, when a child is likely to be viable outside of the womb
so
on
let's
its
say
own.
the third trimester then.
For me personally, I'm personally okay with that. But there are instances, like I said, when that needs to be done. And did you know, since you love
I guess I should make my distinction here. Like, I actually don't mind late-term abortion if it's for, certain reasons. If it's like, oh, at the last minute I decided I don't want a baby, then no. But that literally probably doesn't happen. Maybe it happened like one time, maybe somewhere. But that's talk about like a statistical abnormality. That's got to be so rare. And like the only time a late-term abortion would even happen would be to either save the mother's life or due to a medical related thing to the baby itself, or well, not what will become a baby. It's not, like I said, it's not a baby, but yeah, what will become the baby. So yeah, I mean, that's a simple distinction, simple. And both of them, I don't know, they both talk around the ideas too much. They need to talk more straightforward and a lot less gotcha style. They just need to say the facts of as they both know them and see what happens.
Throwing stats at me, that less than 1% of cases is it a third trimester abortion, and those cases are almost always when it is the life of the mother or serious abnormalities that the child would not survive.
So if it's case I'm not against. If it's less than 1%, then we should be able to abolish it. And now the Texas law, which you have been a big critic of,
yes,
is at 6 weeks. 6 weeks, which we've already stated the facts. At 6 weeks, the child's eyes, eyelids, nose, mouth, and tongue are formed. That sounds like a human being, not a dolphin.
They're not fully formed.
They're still webbed. They're still sitting there. I don't know how boring your life has been,
but
life is not this. Sitting in gel, floating. That's not life. Life's out in the world.
So let me ask you a question.
Life's out in the world.
Over 500.
Maybe this is why you go home and you just chill at home like
500,000 people are currently hooked up to a machine and comatose. According to you, being a webbed person or being somewhat non-human is okay. Should we just pull the plug of all of them?
No, because developed living.
Even he agreed to somewhat non-human.
Are not living. Let me quote you yet again. You said on your YouTube, quote, Planned Parenthood conducts 300,000 abortions a year.
Yes.
That is 300,000
murders.
And then the second part of the sentence, that is 300,000 lives that never had a chance to exist. By your own words.
You know what I mean by
that. No, I don't.
No. He wants to argue those kind of stupid things, so now here he is throwing that kind of shit back at him. I think it's hilarious.
Embryos and fetuses do not exist. It's your words. It never had a chance to exist.
That is a sloppy, dishonest,
it's a perfect argument.
Low IQ argument.
You think
so let me add on to that. To be able to fully.
If it is, he does the same thing.
No, that's not true, sir.
You know that's
Charlie,
low IQ.
the phase that
you know that's sloppy. So let me ask you a question.
I'm speaking of the phase that you think is the same as a dolphin.
Let me ask you a question.
And you are saying that I can't tell if it's a dolphin or not, but I must protect it. But then you also say a fetus does not exist, never has a chance to exist. It has not lived yet. You're 27, not 28. You said it yourself.
Let me continue on
but
with
for your 28th birthday, I will take you to SeaWorld and we can look at the dolphins and be sad about it.
Happy to have another 9 months onto my birthday, which is a really bizarre argument. But
an amazing argument.
Let's say we
change your birthday for it.
Let's say you were right.
Thank you.
So for a second,
we just decided it. I'm right.
For a second, do you ever doubt that 62 million abortions is something that we should be worried about? Something that's wrong with that? Let's just use the racial thing, which you tend to always try to incite. All the black babies that were never born, all the Hispanic babies that were never born. Does that ever bother you?
Does it ever bother you that you still, despite me making this point already, are trying to dictate for these communities of color what they should do with their families, then once you force them to have this baby, you don't help them at all?
Okay, we'll talk about both of them. Number one,
sure,
I will, with every ounce of my being, intervene to dictate that babies are allowed to live. You seem indifferent to that, and jokingly compare babies and dolphins. That's fine. That's okay.
You compared them.
And
you said they were 100% human life.
You dishonestly put up those pictures. That's fine.
I proved a point perfectly.
I would expect the same from, a B-rate comment.
You did the same kind. You're a B-rate commentator. You did the same exact thing with your photos.
Let me continue by saying, which you couldn't tell the difference.
You did the same thing with your photos.
He couldn't tell the difference between a human being conceived in rape or in a consensual
that proves my point better, Charlie.
So let me ask you a question.
I couldn't tell the difference because fetuses are not distinct special beings until they are born.
Let me ask you a question.
That's why you can't tell the difference between
rape
fetuses and consensual fetuses or dolphin fetuses or human fetuses.
If it's not your DNA,
you proved my point twice.
If it's not your DNA, why should it be your choice?
Exactly. It's not your DNA, so why are you choosing for these women?
It's not the DNA of the baby, Ben.
No, it is half the DNA of the mother and half of the father.
So should the father have a say?
I think the father should be able to consult with the mother if the mother so chooses.
Should the father override an abortion?
You just
No,
said,
no.
override it. It's the
Because it's not the fucking father's body. He should have he should be able to have a, talk to the mother, but goddamn. Like, it'd be like if you reversed it, should the mother be able to do that to the husband? No! It just so happens that the mother is the vessel for the future baby. Like, what the fuck? If you reverse the genders and the male carried the baby, it'd be the opposite. No, a woman should not be able to override the man if he's, pregnant in the scenario. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's not, he's trying to make it sound like, oh, you think women are bad. Like, no! If you reversed it, it'd be the same fucking way. It's bullshit. It's her body. She gets final say. I don't give a fuck.
the mother's choice.
I thought
She's
you said
carrying
it's
the
half
baby.
the father.
It's half his DNA, so he should be consulted. That would be nice.
You know, most states it's illegal. It's not legal to do it.
It's not legal to consult a father. Of course,
No, you
it's
don't
legal.
have to consult it by law.
Fine, because it's the woman carrying it.
What do they mean by consult, quote unquote?
She shouldn't have a say.
That's right. So the mother and the father, it's not their DNA anymore.
So why do
DNA
you have a say in babies of which you have none of the DNA?
Well, it's like saying,
Why do you have
why do we have
in
say
the
in
babies?
murder laws and theft laws, rape laws, and arson laws?
Because those are to protect human beings
which begins
who are
at
living.
conception.
In your opinion.
In the opinion of
Because
embryology,
you
and
happen
science,
to be an evangelical. You happen to be a Catholic, correct?
not even close.
You're not a Catholic.
Don't you have a card for that?
You're an evangelical Christian. What are you?
Yeah,
Evangelical Christian.
evangelical Christian.
Okay.
That's
And
worse.
you're a B-rate comic.
That's probably
You're a
worse.
C-rate political hack. What's your
How did
point?
your Netflix
We
show
can throw names all we like. It was trending on Netflix for 2 years. Have you ever been on Netflix? You should go for it. It's one of the top platforms out there in the world.
I mean, it really is. And Charlie Kirk's show would last probably about as long, if not less. Like, goddamn, he doesn't have that big of an audience. His audience is bigger than his, but his audience isn't big enough to carry him over to a TV show. Like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? Even like some of the top political commentators on other streaming services aren't like making their own TV shows. It's such a fantastical, stupid. So stupid.
Yeah, they did. After 2 years, they took it off. Great point. You ever been on Netflix?
I wouldn't
I
want
also got a show dropping on Disney Plus soon, so please check that out.
Goodness, they couldn't pay me to be on that awful platform.
Yeah, I know. It would not
To be on Disney
Plus.
Plus, they couldn't pay him enough to be on Disney Plus, like one of the most like common platforms other than Netflix, Hulu. It's probably more popular than Hulu. Like, holy shit! And he's smiling like, "I would never be paid enough to be on Disney Plus." Disney Plus, bro. It's like, what? Okay, what? What? It's fucking Disney.
I strongly make sure that doesn't happen.
I want to see as many babies live as possible.
Your religious
Oh my
beliefs
God.
inform your opinions on
course.
abortion. Yes, but
However,
mine inform mine.
I haven't made one religious argument this entire time.
Sure, but all I'm saying is you keep saying that life begins at
He doesn't have to. It's
conception. That's an idea
philosophical.
you have informed by your religious beliefs.
Then
Judaism says life begins with the first breath.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
That is a misinterpretation
And
of the text of
Judaism-
Exodus. Let me ask you,
Judaism gives preference to the woman, not the unborn fetus.
You want to talk about
The
the
breath
Torah?
of
And
life.
that's my religion.
So what does it say in Jeremiah? I knew you before what?
I have no idea.
You were in the womb.
Uh-huh.
What does it say in Leviticus about unborn
Oh,
children?
wow, somebody wrote that I knew you before you were in the room?
Yes, somebody
Listen.
called Jeremiah a minor character in the Bible.
The Bible's beautiful, but it's allegory.
Yeah, it's not like, who gives a shit what the
It's
Bible
word. Say
says.
It's some kind of scientific book. It's not a scientific book. It's a good
No,
moral
it's the
guide,
word of God. Ben.
in your opinion.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
can't enforce your religion.
It's the word of his one singular God amongst all these other religions that believe their God's right. It's like, goddamn, if he's even right that religion's real, then he better fucking put all of his chips in the one basket, because he's got like a 1 in, I don't know how many religions there are, fucking 20,000 some odd chance. It's probably way more than 20,000, but Jesus.
religious opinion on the world. That's why we,
Well,
on the
I'm
country
not. I've
especially.
been making secular arguments.
Sure.
So I'm just asking, as someone who says you were offended by the Holocaust, where millions of Jews were killed, why are you seemingly indifferent with the millions of Americans that are being killed?
Because they're not Americans. You have to be born on U.S. soil to be an American. Again, you prove my point.
No,
Thank you.
human beings.
The definition of an American is being born on U.S. soil. Born.
So
Born or naturalized.
let me
so
let me
no
ask you-
Americans are killed every year.
Let me ask you.
Thank you. Another point.
The Black
in my
Panthers.
column. Love
The
it.
Black Panthers said, which I disagree with the Black Panthers on a lot, but they said that abortion is a black genocide on the community.
At the time.
Good for them.
Are they
At the
wrong?
time, it might have been.
Yeah, they're of course wrong.
I mean, they're wrong in the generalization, yes.
Genocides are genocides, and genocides take place of humans, not of undeveloped,
So, but again,
still developing fetuses that will become humans.
So, but what
that you think are dolphins.
What species is a fetus on the animal kingdom hierarchy?
It is
Homo
None.
sapien
None.
or no?
None.
It is a
The answer is none. What species is a fetus in the spectrum of life? It's none. How about that? N/A.
Part of a woman human being that is growing.
What species
is a woman?
fetus?
A woman is a human being.
Yes.
A fetus. What species is it?
It will become a Homo sapien.
So it's not current. When does that species change?
When they're born!
Birth. How hard is this?
Right.
Birth.
It's like they said the same thing 9 times. He thinks when they're born, that's when they're that's when life, and he thinks earlier, and he's circle.
So you're making an argument that all of a sudden the baby goes through metamorphosis of a species change? That's a unique and very bizarre
Oh, no,
argument.
I never said species change. I said it's becoming a full, living, breathing
So,
Homo
but what is it
sapien
before?
when
So
birth
what
happens.
species is a fetus? You got to organize it somewhere in the animal kingdom.
No, you don't.
Where is it?
No, you don't.
Homo sapien
Oh, so
parts.
it's a
No, you
human.
don't.
Homo sapien parts.
You just admitted to
No.
No,
What
you don't
species
have
is
to. What are you saying? He just baited him. You don't have to answer that at all. You answer it as in you know you don't. It doesn't have to go on there. Why does it have to go on there? And he'll have to go make some bullshit claim to why, for some reason, it would have to go onto the living chart of beings. Like, wow, like, what? Is he trying to, and plus, is he trying to make it sound like it's a different kind of human? Like, it's not Homo sapien, it's like Homo sapien. He's saying it's basically Homo sapien asterisk, but like, what is, oh my God. His point is so stupid. Like, that whole chart is for, like, things that have been born, like, by scientific terms, which does not agree with Charlie Kirk at all. May I say that again? At all.
It's
what species is egg?
neither human nor anything.
What species is the egg from
It's
a
an
woman?
undeveloped part of a male or
Exactly.
undeveloped part of a
Exactly.
female.
And a fetus is an undeveloped baby.
No, it's very much developed.
No, it's not.
No.
It's developing the whole time until birth. That's the whole
New
process.
DNA is formed.
New DNA is formed the whole time up until birth.
No. The new DNA is formed right at that moment.
No.
Yes, it is. The new DNA is the sperm and egg meet. That's called conception.
Yep, and-
the science
yep,
of embryology say
yep,
that is a human life.
yep, and each
that is
egg that
worthy of
drops is
protection.
unique.
No, I'm not even
DNA,
arguing.
that egg.
I'm not even arguing he's wrong. I'm not even arguing that there's new DNA formed, but I don't think new DNA is life. I think when the fucking new DNA creates the being to be fully born and able to pass through the fucking uterus in the womb, that is when I believe it's born. Like, you can't say that, oh, because science exists, that like DNA is transferred and created at the site of conception, that is life then, because it's not. At that point, it doesn't even have the supposed heartbeat that they make the argument for and supposed impulses of the brain. Like, this is even earlier than that argument. Like, what the fuck?
There's unique DNA in the millions and millions of sperm that
It's
go
like
and fertilize.
these fucking people have arguments for every step. It's like, well, if you don't believe it at this point, do you believe it at this point? And if you don't believe it at this point, do you believe it at this point? If you don't believe it at this point, do you believe it at this point? It's like, Jesus, man, how about we just don't believe it in any of those points? Like, it's super easy. Super easy. Stop moving the goddamn goalpost, man. Like, stop. Stop it. Stop.
that egg.
And we said, what happens to an unfertilized egg?
The sperm dies, and what happens to a pregnancy that doesn't go to term? It dies. Your point is what?
That it's a human life.
No.
That it develops.
We didn't prove that point. You just jumped to that.
Uninterrupted from an abortionist intervention.
No, there's miscarriages all the time.
Of course, that doesn't make it not a life.
So when a miscarriage happens, is
That's
a
a
woman
life that should be
murderer?
grieved.
Is a woman a murderer?
Of course not. That happens through, and many different sort of chemical pregnancies.
Honest
but
question.
that is a
Honest
life.
question. Honest question. Do you have any friends who've ever had an abortion?
Yes,
Okay.
and I grieve for them
You grieve for them.
because they were taken advantage of by people like you and the abortion industry.
Right, they were taking advantage of. That's how they feel.
That's how I feel. Many of them, by the way, if you want to talk about the mental health cost that women have after an abortion, I'm happy to talk about how most women regret having abortions, about how they have psychological
Most women
damage,
don't.
social damage,
I mean,
spiritual damage.
they regret as much
They'll
as
take it back.
That is a big
most
fact.
women regret an abortion as much as they regret getting raped. It's like they have control really over they don't have control over the first scenario, which led to the second scenario, which means they don't have control really over that scenario. Correct? Thank you. Move on quick on that one. Quick fire.
Talking point.
No,
It's
it's
very
actually
sad.
a
It's
scientific
very-
fact
it's-
that
sadness
abortion
is a
is
scientific
actually
fact.
terrible for the women, for the
No,
woman.
no.
long
Unsafe
term.
abortion is terrible. Abortions are very, very safe and are very healthy to do. And in fact, for any woman watching this that is being forced,
It's literally an outpatient procedure. You can go in the same day and get out. Like, that's how safe it is nowadays compared to like getting fucking like clothes hanger stuck up your fucking, expletive deleted word because it would be outlawed. Yeah, that's pretty much not even, you can't even, no matter which side you're on, you can't argue that fact, like, I don't know how, at all.
not consider an abortion as an option if they are not ready to have a child because maybe their husband or their partner or their parents are not allowing them to do so, please know you can get pills online from other countries, even if you have to, that can do a safe, painless, easy, at-home abortion, and you will not have to deal with any problems health-wise, and you're going to be all good. So know that option's out there for you.
I gotta be honest,
Please keep
your
that in mind.
Yeah.
use of which advocating murder scares
You
me.
keep saying murder, and you also think fetuses are dolphins, so you don't ever take in a point that you already lost
So,
and
so,
adjust
so
your
let me be
opinion,
clear.
which is
Your main
unfortunate.
argument you keep on resorting back to is you have two pictures of a human being and a dolphin
not
that
my
look
main
similar,
argument.
and you think as if that's some sort of
Your
big
own
argument.
words is that embryos haven't had a chance to exist yet, that fetuses haven't existed yet. Your own words.
Existed the way you and I have. Yes.
Right.
So now
Right.
you are
In the world,
workshopping
alive.
something I said on a radio show and YouTube channel.
No,
Got it.
alive. Your
Okay.
own YouTube channel.
So
Your own YouTube channel.
let me ask you a question here, which is, what is a human being?
A living, breathing, out in the world entity. Let me ask you a question. What is a mother? The thing you keep not wanting to talk about.
A mother is a woman who has a sperm and egg fertilized, and human life has begun.
And does she have autonomy to make her own decisions? Do you think she's a full human being? That's
Well, this is
respectful?
where you stepped in it.
You think
If it's
think
not
fetuses?
if it's not her DNA, it's not her choice. That's a
You-
moral argument.
It is her DNA,
No, it's not. New
and it's
DNA
her
is
body,
formed.
and it's her body.
That's what I'm saying. It's 50% her DNA, and her vessel, her body being the vessel is the key thing, really, at least for me. And I think that's what he's trying to say. Gleib's trying to say in a different form.
Not her DNA. It's new DNA has formed
Uh-huh.
of a new being, and as soon as that new being is created, she does not have, in my opinion, well, she currently has the legal authority in some states,
Correct.
unfortunately.
Legal authority and
Or
constitutionally
the
protected
moral-
authority. You like the Constitution, don't you?
Wait,
You care about it?
Where in the Constitution does it protect
The
abortion?
14th Amendment and the 5th
What
Amendment.
does the 14th Amendment say?
The 14th Amendment,
Where does it say the word abortion?
it protects your liberty.
Where does it say the word
I feel
There
like it
cannot be
makes a lot of
infringements in
noise.
the due process clause to your liberty and to your
So-
right to privacy,
so let me ask you a
and the
question.
government should not go into your body. Why are there no rules or laws that affect a man's body? What if we said, here's how we're going to reduce abortion, Charlie, is every man, including you, Charlie Kirk, newly married, has to get a vasectomy. It can be reversed when you're ready to have a baby. Would you be okay with it?
No, because it doesn't involve
No.
a certain human life. Let me ask you a question.
What do you mean? Oh, no, it does,
so
because you're saying men are not responsible at all for unwanted pregnancies.
So you believe women...
You're saying men
You
are
will-
not responsible at all for unwanted pregnancies.
Hold on, I don't
Are
even-
you-
I
are
don't
you- are you
even
not?
understand where
That's
you're
a
going with this
question.
argument. Say that again?
Are men responsible at all for unwanted pregnancy, or is it just a woman's fault?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Right. So then, shouldn't the laws also enforce something?
Reflect that,
Yeah,
yes.
it's such an
The law should reflect that equally. He's exactly right.
epidemic that you call it genocide.
No, because you have a new being that is created.
Uh-huh.
So we should allow women
So
to
women
make
are just
decisions.
empty vessels then.
So men should not be involved in making
Not pathetic?
decisions for women's health care, right?
Correct.
So then you think Roe versus Wade is a mistake because it was 7 men that made that decision. So we should repeal
It
Roe
doesn't make any
versus Wade.
sense because
Oh,
unlike you,
men shouldn't dare make
No, no,
decisions
no.
for women.
No,
You
because
advocate
unlike
for the
you-
repealing of Roe
No,
versus
no,
Wade.
no.
Let it be on the...
Kirk's oversimplification of any argument is just unfathomable. Like, I've never heard him argue anything that actually has like higher context above a junior high argument. You know what I mean? Like, ridiculous.
record,
No,
everybody.
again-
7 men made a decision that was
there's
terrible
7
for women.
empathetic men that don't have.
Oh, I thought you said we shouldn't make decisions
No,
for women.
should it-
7 men, everybody.
Except obviously
repeal Roe
the
versus
Supreme
Wade.
Court, who we have empowered to make such
I thought we
decisions.
should trust women.
You just scoffed at laws a second ago, but you seem to be a man of law typically, and so typically.
So what's the law that
abortions-
protects abortion? What was it passed by Congress?
Okay, once again, let me finish my
Name
point
the
here.
statute.
Let me finish my point here. You see,
It never
unlike
happened.
you, those 7 men on the Supreme Court.
What is he
were
talking
able to
about?
have
Kirk is
empathy
so
to realize
stupid.
They don't know what a woman goes through to give birth and how it affects every part of their life going forward, and so they realized that the government, something you're typically in favor of, small, limited government, not infringing on people's liberties or lives, should
Including the
not
unborn.
infringe on. That's not what they decided. They decided and it's now
Incorrectly.
protected by the Constitution.
So the
Also, I
clerk-
can just say 2A, then Second Amendment is incorrectly. We can do any regulation on
You guys
guns.
say that all the time. So the clerk for
And your
Justice
point is what?
Blackmun
It's a good
said that
point.
Roe versus Wade is intellectually suspect, the most intellectually suspect constitutional decision
Who
of the
said
modern
this?
era. The clerk for Justice Blackmun, who wrote the
Who gives a
on
shit?
Roe versus Wade, the 7-2 decision that allowed 62 million
The
abortions.
dissenting opinion.
No, Justice Blackmun was the majority opinion. This is
Okay.
the clerk for Justice Blackmun, who said it was one of the most intellectually suspect constitutional decisions of the modern era. When did Congress ever
Great,
say
and
that
my
abortion was a
assistant
right?
one time said I was an asshole. That doesn't make it the law.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
wait a second.
the clerk to the person said it. The clerk does not. They don't say the dissenting fucking argument. The justices say it, and they just write it down. He's completely misapplying this. Like, that's a complete misapplication of it. When has the clerk of a Supreme Court justice ever made the dissenting opinion? They haven't. The justices make the dissenting opinion, and the clerk just fucking writes the shit down. Like, goddamn. So the clerk's opinion is that. Wonderful. We're so happy that the clerk of one of the justices has that opinion. I'm excited. That's exciting. And what a misapplication, once again, of the facts.
Do we make law through Congress or through a decision of the courts?
Do we make law through Congress or a decision of the courts?
Yes.
Congress makes law,
So-
and the courts decide whether to uphold it or not.
When did Congress ever make a law on abortion?
Congress never made a law also outlawing abortion.
No,
they
but
saw
when did
a
they ever
case
legalize it?
both ways, Charlie. When did they ever make it not legal?
Actually, a lot of states had abortion bans
States.
up until...
Yes,
Well,
states,
So what does the Tenth
states.
Amendment say then?
I like how Charlie says it's okay for states to make the decision then, but now when a majority of states have it where abortion is fine, now it's like, oh, nope, now we got to impinge on states' rights too. But yet he's a man who says he wants less government. I want low government, and I want my guns, I want this and that, but women shouldn't be able to make decisions for their bodies. It's fucking disgusting. This man is a coward, an intellectual invalid, and just a coward of the mind.
It says that anything not delegated to Congress will be left to the states and the people.
But this was decided.
Yeah, by a group of unelected 7 men who you say
Oh.
shouldn't make decisions.
Oh, okay.
Right, we have to
No, I never
trust
said that.
women
I never said
that
that.
overturn
No, I never said they don't get to
states
decide things for
that
the
have their
country.
own independent abortion bans.
You're obviously twisting my words
hold on
very
a second.
strongly there, because obviously
If
the Supreme Court can
Congress-
make decisions for the country.
If there was such a mandate, what's the law that allows abortion? Not Supreme Court decision, what's the law?
Charlie, the Supreme Court decides on court cases, and they decide whether it is constitutional or not. And backed up by the Constitution that you and I both hold so dear,
Right, so
they
there's never been a law.
codified
It's a decision.
into our law. It's a decision, that's correct. And you
Right.
can't scoff at Supreme Court decisions
So it's not a
and
law.
then say that then the Texas law is not a law.
No, we're hopefully overturn Roe versus Wade through the Texas law. The point is that it was never
Good for
passed
you.
by Congress.
Great
It
luck
was
trying
never
to
voted
force
on.
women to have babies they don't want,
Hold on.
aren't ready
Let's-
for,
let me ask you a question.
babies from rape,
So-
and babies from abuse.
So,
Great hill to die
rape-
on,
rape
but then
aside,
make sure you don't
1%
rape
of all-
aside. What a
1% of all.
sentence.
Let me ask
rape
you a question.
aside women. I'm sorry you have to listen to this.
That's terrible.
Rape
It is.
aside.
statistically, it is less than
1%.
1%.
So that's
Let me ask you a
millions.
question.
That's millions of
Let me
babies.
ask you a question. How do these other women get pregnant then?
Huh? Do we explain sex
99%
to you?
No, I'm
I can
asking.
explain sex to you. I know you're losing.
They made.
Even his own assistants, Charlie Kirk's own assistants laughed at that one, dude. They laughed at Gleib, dude. They laughed at his joke. It's falling apart. Dude, it's falling apart. Charlie Kirk's like the end boss, and it's like once you do enough damage, you could like see the steam coming from their head, and you know it's like they're close to the final blow. I mean, judging by how much time's left, because if I cut off randomly, it's because the end of this debate is Kirk like saying his last statement, not letting Gleib say anything, and then gets up and tries to shake his hand and cuts his show like he won. And it's very misleading, and I'm not going to feed into that shit. So like before we even get there, or close to we get there, I'm cutting the shit off. And when it goes on my YouTube channel, I'm doing the same thing, because that was such a false narrative that he tried to portray at the very end there. Like, well, he's made all good points. I'm just going to get up and act like I beat him. You'll see if I continue to watch it.
Man, when
Essential
a man and a
decision.
woman love each other,
They made a decision, and then they want to terminate and murder that child.
Who made a decision?
Because the 1 million people having abortions every single year. So why all of a sudden should
No,
we
they are
be
accidents
okay
oftentimes. They're not
with
decisions.
terminating human life
they're not decisions.
because they had a consensual relationship?
God, I hope for you
25%
that you don't
of
accidentally
all
impregnate your
abortions.
wife. That would be really hypocritical if you were put in this
25%
situation.
of all abortions in this country are done out of economic convenience. Do you think that's okay?
Economic convenience is such a stupid, backwards, low IQ phrase for you to use. Economic convenience, what you actually mean is they cannot possibly afford the $1 million it will take to raise a child that you can afford because you were born into privilege. And they won't. But you're so privileged, you also want to force them to have a baby and then vote against legislation
What's the average
to help
social
them.
welfare benefits for somebody annually with a child?
What's the number of it?
What's the annual benefit?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
$55,000 a year. What's
Uh-huh.
that times 18?
Times 18 years?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, roughly.
That depends on the state. That depends on the
$500,000?
state. So I don't
around
know.
$700,000.
Okay.
Whatever he's talking about depends on the state. So I don't know exactly. He might be talking at the national level, but there's really not that much benefit at the national level. Maybe link card, but I think link card's also state implement. I don't really know what he's talking about. Like all that shit is woefully underpaid, and that's split throughout all 50 states, I guess. If you want to look at that number, then I don't get it. But I never do with Charlie Kirk. So.
Just about what it costs to raise a child.
Uh-huh.
So there's plenty of social welfare benefits in place. So don't give me this idea of
No,
economic
because
convenience.
that's assuming every dollar of that goes to that
Instead,
child. That assumes every dollar of that
here's
goes to
the
that
essence
child.
of it.
You
It
vote
goes through
against
size.
increasing this funding. You vote against paid maternity leave. You push against paid maternity and paternity leave. You push against increasing prenatal care. You push against making sure that there is more support for helping raise these kids.
Let me clarify
You
this.
only want to force people to have babies they don't want, and you don't actually care about it because you've proven time and time again here that you don't even know exactly what a baby is. You said with your own words that it's not a life until it's born, never had a chance to exist. You only want to do it to get more followers and to be able to keep your followers on a hook, because the anti-choice movement never even used to be an issue conservatives cared about. Pre-Roe v. Wade, it was about segregating schools. That was the big issue that was the conservative movement hung their hat on.
You are all over the place, man.
No, he's just talking about the conservative.
All over the place, you're damn right.
His all over the place is just talking about the conservative movement in general, which he's part of. Charlie Kirk is part of that.
And so once the sentiment of the country shifted against that, and they lost.
God, Charlie's stupid. He's smiling like he has.
I
don't get it. God, he's so dumb. He's woke.
Without being overt.
He can feign ignorance, and maybe that's how he's able to smile and like laugh like he's intellectually right at any point. Like I just I don't know. Just woeful ignorance, literal.
Misogynist and racist, so they instead said, let's control women's bodies and therefore help keep communities of color down, help keep women down, and help have men decide, like men like you, decide what's best for women, even though you can't be pregnant, never will be pregnant.
All he does is laugh. That's all he does is laugh. That's the only thing he can do.
I hope for you have the life you want, gets pregnant, you raise a family, you'll have the means to take care of him, so it's very easy for you to sit on a high horse and say, you gotta also have a baby. Well, good for you. That's real nice since they don't have the money to do so.
Do you actually believe this?
What part? All these great points that you haven't been able to disprove any one of them?
Actually, we've gone through plenty of it. And just to recap, age privilege and size privilege, Ben believes just because you're older and bigger, you should be able to terminate human life. He's been unable to pinpoint when human life begins.
Pre-human life, and I have pinpointed at birth.
62 million
You think
abortions
humans
since
are
Roe versus
dolphins?
Wade.
You think fetuses
Human
are
beings
dolphins?
are distinct and whole.
Right.
And the science of embryology
Babies sound like this.
shows that human beings begin life at conception.
The
human
science
life.
of embryology. No, it doesn't.
You have been
No, it
unable
doesn't.
to
No,
pinpoint
it doesn't.
human beings on the ladder
It's
of
the building
the
block
animal
of life.
kingdom ladder.
It's the building block of life.
900 black babies are killed every single day. Ben is indifferent to that.
No, I want
there
black
are
people to decide
36
for their own communities what they
waiting
do.
families for every one abortion that happens every
And there's
single
children
year.
that are stuck in the adoptive system forever
In
and can't
Texas,
get adopted.
70% of all abortions are
people
minorities. And it really goes down to this moral question. And the moral question is whether or not we believe human beings are worthy of protection.
No.
I believe
you all the time
that
say
all
you don't
human
believe
beings
they are.
believe they are worthy
No,
of
you
protection.
vote all the time against protecting living human beings. You only vote and push
Hold on a
people
second. Let's
to
talk about
protect
this.
the unborn.
So this is a slanderous lie.
No,
I
it's
want
not.
school choice because I care about all human beings. I want more police because I care about all human beings. I want strong borders because I care about human beings.
All
It
of
is
those-
a lie, and it is insulting to anyone who's pro-life to act as if we are only pro-baby. Everything that we advocate at this organization and over here is about the betterment and the flourishing of humanity, protection of your rights, strong education, the ability to read, the ability to go to school, not have to live in gang-infested neighborhoods.
You
This
do nothing
talking
to help
point
stop
by the
that.
left,
Gang-infested.
That is a garbage lie, what
everything
you're
that
saying.
I advocate
That's garbage.
for is
You
to
decide-
advocate for the human being.
No, you
from
like
the
to
moment of
decide that's not
conception
true.
to the last gasp and breath.
That is a lie.
This
you
is a
you want to
drive-by
decide
shooting
what
tactic.
you think will help communities that you don't understand and aren't part of. You think there should be more
Wait,
police.
so the
but
ability
but
to read
you
is something that I'm
constantly-
saying?
No, reading is great, but you constantly denigrate the Black Lives Matter movement and the opinions of the black community that
He
tell
does.
you what you are telling them and dictating as their white savior what they should want is not in fact the reality they live.
If you're an African American person, please don't let Charlie Kirk be your talking head, your speaking voice, because he's definitely not an ally to you guys. I'm just saying, for real, he's not an ally to any minority. Period. He's not an ally to anybody that's lower class. He's not an ally to really anybody but the rich white elite, and that's no joke.
You're telling them more police. They say we desperately need other ways. We need to shift funding into social workers, into healthcare, into help other community help. And you say, instead you tweet about how one of the founders of Black Lives Matter bought a house.
Patrisse Cullors has 4 homes.
You don't want
and
her
got
to
rich
be able
while
to.
her followers still can't educate.
She's
their
not
children.
allowed
Yes.
to get rich. You are, but she's not.
Well, Patrisse Cullors goes on bashing capitalist enterprises, saying that she's a Marxist, gets rich while her followers continually have to send her kids to bad schools. So we only have about a minute remaining. So I just want to
I have one last
summarize
question for you. Why are you friends with murderers?
What on earth are you talking about?
You said you have friends who've had abortions and you believe abortion is
No,
murder.
let me
So
be
why
clear.
are you friends with murderers?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Thank you.
Abortionists are the murderers. Women that have
Not
abortions
no.
are
You
victims.
said it's a genocide.
They have been
they're-
lied to.
so women,
they have been
so women
captured
shouldn't-
by the abortion industry. They should be given empathy, respect,
I think this is close to the part where I told you about. Let's find out.
care, and compassion.
So
the
women
abortionists
not only-
should be locked up in prison. And it's
So
people like
women
you
not only
that
can't
are
decide
okay
for their own bodies,
with the termination and destruction
of
children.
pre-baby slash what you think are
The
dolphins.
62 million babies
Not
that
babies.
you are
Not
okay
Not babies.
with
You don't
seeing
care
being
once they're
slaughtered
babies. You don't
in
care
human
once they're
life.
babies.
Thank
But
you,
you
Ben,
yourself
for
said
joining us. We
you're
appreciate
cool
it.
with- you're
We
friends
can do
with
a short,
murderers
we can do a
if-
short
by your
overtime
definition.
segment.
By your
And
definition.
thank you so much, everybody. Debate night.
See, the audio changed because that's when he cuts it off, and he gets and watch. He's gonna stand up and try to like completely just negate anything he says past that point. We'll watch a little bit into it.
Solid debate. Solid debate.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Are you okay going 5 or 10 minutes more?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, keep it rolling. Okay, what were you saying, Ben?
Honestly, I don't really want to watch like the B-roll, if you will. So we'll move on to the next video, but that was a good debate overall. I mean, good one-sided debate. I don't agree with everything even Gleib said, but like Gleib is definitely just for, being, pro-choice is definitely, in my opinion, in the right. So now we're going to move from...